Well, eventually, when I read the script, I was in a different, I don't know, I was in a different area. I guess I was very involved with Cracker Factory, for one thing, and I wasn't really terribly concentrated, and it would have just been, I don't know, I didn't identify with the mother somehow.
In Hollywood, some stories fade, but others become shadows that never leave. Welcome to Heartfelt Tales, where we uncover the mysteries and hidden truths behind history's most unforgettable moments. Today, we're diving into one of Hollywood's darkest puzzles, the death of Natalie Wood. For over 40 years, bruises that didn't match the story, screams witnesses heard, a husband's changing statements, and a silence that never felt natural have all pointed to one chilling possibility. This was no accident. Before we begin, like the video, subscribe to Heartfelt Tales, and hit the bell icon. What you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew. Let's begin. The final night, what really happened aboard the yacht. On the night of November 28, 1981, Natalie Wood was aboard the yacht Splendor with her husband Robert Wagner, her Brainstorm co-star Christopher Walken, and the boat's captain Dennis Davern. Earlier that evening, witnesses on Catalina Island saw the group dining together at Doug's Harbor Reef, where multiple patrons later reported tension between Wood and Wagner. Alcohol flowed heavily, and some recalled raised voices before the group returned to the yacht. According to official records, the weather that night was cold, windy, and the water choppy, conditions in which no one would willingly leave a yacht alone, especially not someone terrified of dark, open water. Not long after midnight, the peaceful Thanksgiving weekend transformed into a chilling mystery. By early morning, Natalie Wood's body was discovered floating face down less than a mile from the anchored yacht. The dinghy was found drifting nearby, with no signs it had been used. And the first question investigators faced was simple. Why did no one on the boat notice she was missing for hours? The autopsy presented details that would complicate the case for decades. Natalie Wood had multiple fresh bruises on her arms, legs, wrists, and face. Their placement and patterns were highly suspicious. Forensic specialists noted that these were not the types of injuries caused by simply slipping into water. Many appeared consistent with being grabbed, pushed, or restrained. Her wrists showed circular bruising, often associated with someone trying to pull away from another person. She also had defensive-type scratches, as though she had raised her arms to shield herself. Perhaps the most disturbing clue was her fingernails. Several were broken, but they contained no traces of the yacht's railing or the dinghy's edges. Instead, they looked as if she had clawed at something or someone. In addition, Natalie Wood was found wearing a long nightgown and a down jacket. Investigators later discovered that the jacket had absorbed water and added dozens of pounds of weight, making it nearly impossible for her to swim or float. Why would she wear such heavy clothing if she intended to leave the yacht voluntarily? Another key detail, her blood alcohol level suggested she had been drinking, but not enough to incapacitate her or cause hallucinations. She was not so intoxicated that she would have taken a dinghy out alone, especially given her lifelong fear of deep water. These contradictions forced investigators to re-examine every detail, because the physical evidence directly challenged the explanation given by the other three people aboard the Splendor. Robert Wagner's story and why it kept changing. One of the most troubling parts of this case has always been the shifting account of Robert Wagner. In the hours immediately after Wood's body was found, Wagner told investigators that he assumed she had gone to bed. Later that changed. He said he thought she had taken the dinghy to shore. Both explanations were strange, considering that Natalie Wood was terrified of open water at night and rarely operated the dinghy herself. Over the years, Wagner's retelling evolved even more. In the early statements, he never mentioned a fight. In the mid-1980s, he admitted to a mild argument. In later interviews, he acknowledged a heated confrontation involving jealousy, especially regarding Wood's friendship with Christopher Walken. In one published account, Wagner admitted smashing a wine bottle in anger shortly before Wood disappeared, something he had never previously told investigators. One of the most troubling revelations was the timeline. Investigators now believe there was nearly a 4-hour delay between the moment Wagner claimed he realized she was missing and the time authorities were notified. During this period, according to later testimony by the boat captain, Wagner allegedly instructed him not to call for help. In 2018, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department officially named Robert Wagner a person of interest, stating publicly that his story did not add up. Detectives said the bruises on Natalie Wood's body were consistent with a struggle, and the person on the boat who had the most to gain by the official story is Wagner. Yet Wagner has refused to speak to investigators since the case was reopened, raising even more suspicion. Christopher Walken's involvement has remained one of the most mysterious aspects of the case. Walken was the only impartial witness on board, neither a family member nor an employee, which makes his silence all the more significant. In his first statement, he said he heard nothing unusual and went to bed early. But multiple witnesses on nearby boats later reported hearing arguing on the Splendor around midnight, including a woman's voice shouting for help. Walken has rarely spoken publicly about that night. In one rare interview years later, he suggested Wood's death was an accident, but his version of events remained vague and avoided specifics. Some investigators believe Walken saw or heard more than he admitted but chose silence to avoid entanglement in a legal or public relations storm. The boat captain, the man who finally spoke, Dennis Davern, the captain of the Splendor, originally supported Wagner's version of events. But decades later, he came forward and admitted he had lied. In interviews and later public statements, Davern claimed that Wagner had instructed him to remain silent and stick to the original accident story. The most shocking part of Davern's testimony was his claim that Wagner and Wood had a violent argument on the deck shortly before she disappeared. Davern also said Wagner refused to immediately call for help, even though Wood was nowhere on the yacht. The captain alleged that Wagner said they needed to wait, and that he appeared more concerned with crafting a story than finding his wife. These claims directly contradicted Wagner's earlier statements, and aligned with new forensic interpretations of the bruises on Wood's body. While critics questioned the timing of Davern's confession, investigators stated that many of his details matched evidence they had never publicly released. His testimony helped prompt the 2011 decision to officially reopen the case. The sister who never stopped fighting, Lana Wood, Natalie's younger sister, has spent decades insisting that Natalie's death was not an accident. She has been vocal about Wagner's history of jealousy and the troubling dynamics of their relationship. Lana has also emphasized her sister's childhood trauma around water, arguing that Natalie would never have attempted to use the dinghy alone at night. Many of Lana's claims, dismissed early on as emotional, later aligned with the findings of the reopened investigation. Her persistence kept pressure on investigators and helped ensure the case was re-examined with modern forensic standards. What really happened? Based on the combined forensic evidence, witness testimony, and investigative findings, the most widely accepted theory among modern investigators is this: Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner had a heated argument that escalated on the deck of the Splendor. A physical struggle occurred, supported by the bruises and defensive injuries. Wood either fell or was pushed into the water during this confrontation. Wagner did not immediately call for help. A delay of several hours ensured that by the time authorities were notified, Wood had already succumbed to hypothermia and drowning. Whether Wagner intended harm, panicked after a tragic accident, or tried to protect his reputation, the decisions that night created a chain of events that cost Natalie Wood her life and prevented her from being rescued when she still could have been saved. And that is the truth behind one of Hollywood's most unsettling mysteries. Natalie Wood's story may be decades old, but the questions, the evidence, and the silence surrounding that night refuse to fade. Here on Heartfelt Tales, we believe every story deserves clarity, every mystery deserves light, and every voice deserves to be heard, even when the truth is uncomfortable. If this investigation moved you or opened your eyes, make sure you like the video, subscribe to Heartfelt Tales, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the stories that matter. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and stay with Heartfelt Tales.